Okay, I have a question from a client, and he has, or she, Steve, he has a 31-0735. I don't believe they bought it from us, but perhaps they did. And the client says, I want to use it for 12-volt operation, which is what this is. But I've got 2 yellow and 2 blue. The question is what wires go together? Well, I don't know, but we're going to check. So let's experiment with this. Obviously, 2 are going to be for power. The other 2, it has to be some sort of switching. Is what it has to be. I can't think of what else you'd be doing with the other 2 wires, and that's probably got everything to do with it. I'm not a low voltage expert, but my educated guess is that it's got something to do with switching or monitoring or reporting. So I'm first going to determine, I'm going to get my voltmeter. I'm going to see what I can see with the voltmeter. So let's switch to a different camera view. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, so I'm going to kind of blindly stab around to see what I can figure out in terms of this. Obviously, we're going to start with a multimeter, and going to see if I can determine some continuity on some wires. Now we're set on continuity right now. Let's grab these 2 yellow wires. No, there's continuity going through the yellow wires. So that means that makes a circuit. Let's try a yellow and a blue. Honestly, I would expect to see nothing across that. Yeah, nothing. Nothing. Let's go across the 2 blue wires. Okay, so that, to me, would kind of make sense. If yellow was power, we should probably get continuity when there's power going to this. So let's get a power supply going here. I have my trusty Lochnetics 510. Okay, so we know that we'll plug it in when we're ready. And it looks like I've got power going across 5 and 10. Okay. So there's a jumper between, well, 5 and 9. Yeah, okay, let's take a look. 5 and 9. This says jumper is removed only if EIR option is installed, and we're not using that. So I've got a jumper between 5 and 9. And okay. So I've got negative on 5 and positive on 10. So that would make sense why I've got 5 and 10 wired. I haven't been in here in a couple of months. So we know that we're going to make this set to 12 volts. So I've got it currently on 24 volts. So I'm going to slide my toggle switch over to 12 volt. Yeah, 12 volt right here. So I've got a green and a red wire. And I've got this wired already just for the sake of making life easy on myself. So I'm just going to go for it. we're not plugged in. So I'm gonna twist some wires together. Okay, I'm going to plug it in and see what we get. But I'm going to leave that solenoid pointed this way in case it fires. Heard something, Bob. Reverse the wires and see what we get. Oh. All right, we're getting voltage. Getting negative voltage. So let's see what happens when we swap these wires around and see what we get for voltage then. Those wires reversed. Let's plug it in. And let's see what voltage we're getting now. Okay, the issue is I don't know. Great success. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to power this solenoid, and I'm going to check for continuity. Yeah, right there. That's magnetism right there. Here's what I mean. No power. There's no power going to this. We're unplugged. That solenoid comes out. That's what's going to drive the connection. So it's probably going to be naturally in this state, something of that nature. I'm wired here. And it could be that this is not important in terms of polarity. Let's plug it in and see what happens. Bam. So what happens is when you run electric current through a coil, and that's what a solenoid is, there's wires, it produces a magnetic field. The plunger is pure, it's ferrous material, it's metal. So this guy, he's in there. I can't pull that out. I mean, I'm sure if I got I'm sorry, I'm blocking you. I can't pull that out. I'm sure if I got, if I pulled hard enough, I'd be able to pull it out. But that's magnetism. Now, what I want to check is we're powered. And if these are a switch, they probably report to something, would be my guess. Yeah, see? I'm getting continuity across there. Or I was. Yep. So I'm getting continuity across these wires, which tells me that these wires are going to report to something when you have a condition. When you have some condition happening. So we're powered. I'll certainly have continuity. Oh, what happened? Maybe my battery is going bad in my voltmeter, my multimeter. Okay, we're powered. We know we have continuity because we're holding. And we have continuity here. So this is a switch to something. So this is probably going to report back to, well, you know what would be a really good example of this is exit device, latch retraction, and automatic door operator. So your switch is going to allow continuity across your solenoid, your exit device. Okay. When you have power going here, we then have continuity, and I can prove that by, let's just do that one more time. Continuity. Now when I unplug the power supply, we'll have no continuity going across there because there's no power. Oh, there is continuity. Let's disconnect the wires. All right, we have continuity. We have continuity on the power leads. We have continuity across the blue wires, which I think are for monitoring or reporting. Huh. So if we always have continuity here, aha. Aha. I think all we had to do was flip it over. There's a switch down here. I did not notice that before. When the plunger is held in, it's changing the position of our switch. You see the I forget the name of the lever. Okay, so now that explains it, because I checked for continuity earlier and I didn't get it across the blue wires. Let's try continuity when that switch is thrown down. We have it there. We don't have it there. Okay, so yeah, we've got a switch here. So the bottom line is, we have continuity. This makes sense. When we have continuity when we've got electric latch retraction. When it's not retracted, the power's off, that's going to come out. You don't have continuity. So in an event where you have a switch, a key switch, that tells well, let's do this. You have a key switch that's going to retract the latch. At that point, you get continuity out of the two blue wires. That's going to tell an automatic door operator that it's now okay to start the opening sequence of the door. That's what that is. When you don't have the latches retracted, the circuit is broken. There's no continuity across my blue wires. You don't have any action. It's the automatic door operator is not going to work. But as soon as I make electric latch retraction, I get continuity. Awesome. That's what that's for, clearly. So the important part is the power are the two yellow wires. Why they're not marked is really not a mystery, because there may not be any polarity on this. I'm going to contact the manufacturer and ask to confirm that these wires that there's not polarity on them, and then we will let the client know what we're up to. Let's do that now. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Architectural Builder's Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
May I ask you a question on a solenoid?
Of course.
On the 31-0735, it's got a pair of yellow and a pair of blue. The yellow is power. Is there no polarity to those?
If you have two of the same light colors, then no, they would be non-polarized.
Yeah, just making sure. Are you familiar with what the blue wires do on that?
Is this, let me take a look at that. 31. Automatic door operators. I want to say they're Rexes, but I would have to see.
Yeah, they when I study it, it has to be. There's a mechanical switch on the back of this. The two blue are coming out, and when the lever is depressed by the solenoid pin, I'm not getting continuity there. So it's got to be, I had heard you say under your breath, automatic door operator. So I'm thinking latch retraction is happening. I get continuity going to the blue wires. That's telling the controller on the automatic door operator, hey, go for it, my man. Open the doors.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. All right, sir. I just wanted to verify, and thanks for taking my call. Happy New Year.
Of course. Yeah, you as well. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Regarding the links to ads that you might see in this video, we do apologize for any interruption to a smooth viewing experience. And hopefully the ads that are being presented to you are related to the base product. And if there is something, feel free to click on those and perhaps consider taking a look at what that other advertiser is promoting. Let's get back to the video. Okay, I was rooting around online looking for some installation instructions of a device that would take the solenoid, and I did find a document called Electric Latch Retraction Installation Instructions. Well, turns out this is the document. 310735 is our part number because it's 12-volt operation. I'm just going to cut to the chase on this. Solenoid specifications, EL12, 12 volt, 8 ohms of resistance should you need to measure it. Boy, we could measure that too. Ohms, 8 ohms. I'm measuring it now. Okay, oops. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm getting, what am I getting? I am getting 8.1 ohms. 8.1 ohms. So all I did there was I set my multimeter to measure ohms, and then I put my leads over the yellow wires, the power wires, and that sends a micro current through there, and it's measuring the resistance, meaning how much loss of that current is going through the coil that's in there. And that's where the term short comes from. Yesterday, let me switch back to the camera view, and I'll show this to you. So this is actually a really good, this is not what the client asked, but since we're here, Omega, ohms, ohms is resistance. So the formula is E equals I times R. E is voltage, I is amperage, R is ohms, or resistance. So, and that E equals I times R, A equals B times C. If you recall, probably grammar school math, you can take that formula and move those pieces around according to the rules of algebra. So if you want to solve for resistance, you can manipulate your formula to give you what you need. So E equals I times R. Voltage equals resistance, pardon me, well yeah, voltage equals amperage times resistance. So when troubleshooting a motor, a solenoid, it's not working. So here's the actual example. Yesterday, literally yesterday, let's go back. 3 days ago, one of my dust collectors isn't working. It's really an air handler. It's a Delta 50-875. It's an air filter. It's got a hamster cage blower on it connected to a motor, and it sucks air through the filter and out the back. Well, this one I've got is 15 years old for sure. On Saturday, after some electrical work was done by an electrician when I wasn't there, it's popping the fuse. Well, the fuse is there to prevent the thing from going completely. So it could be a bad fuse. So what I did was I pulled the unit out, took the back off, I cut the 2 black wires going to the fuse, and I wired them together. So I'm bypassing the fuse. I plug it in, and it starts running. It starts running. Okay, it works. And then I start to smell the burning. So I realized, according to my level of understanding over electricity, is that there's a short in the windings of the motor. And what happens is when there's a short, that short sucks more voltage, increasing the amount of resistance measured in ohms. So I could have skipped the unsafe practice of wiring the thing together. I could have, I don't believe I could have, but I could have theoretically found out the ohm value of that motor, and I could have just tested for ohms, and I would have known immediately as I send the microcurrent through how much is coming through that circuit. And it would either be a healthy range or be an unhealthy range. The fact that it started burning and smelled told me, pull the plug. So windings on the motor, that's not something that can be repaired. And the unit was a eBay find for 50 bucks. And I got years out of it and, use it for spare parts. So now, since we're here, let's check for what we need to check for. We're going to check for ohms. The manufacturer's catalog that I just showed you tells us 8 ohms. I'm going to hold this up so you can see it. If you have something that's not working, and I'm set to ohms, by the way, the Omega, I don't expect to exceed 200 ohms. It goes to 2,000, 20,000, up here, 200,000. So set it to the lowest rating that you won't exceed. If you're testing a circuit, you might have to measure ohms. And all you have to do for that is know what it's supposed to be. So let's check for ohms. (8.1), 8.2, 8.1. There's 8.1 ohms of resistance. That tells me that the solenoid is perfectly healthy. I had thought for a minute when I initially plugged it in and it went pop, I said, oh boy, did I just short that? I didn't. I I knew that I wasn't, I suspected that I wasn't going to hurt anything. No polarity on the wires, continuity here. There was no continuity here initially. Okay, so that's how you measure for ohms. So when you're testing a circuit, do you have power? That's going to be a situation on your multimeter. Do you have power? It's going to be a setting. You're going to measure voltage. You got power going to it. Okay, well, what is it? Is it a solenoid or something with windings? Measure ohms. That'll tell you if the solenoid is no good. Are you getting enough amperage? So what you would do in that case is you would literally measure the load under stress. You would actually fire the item and measure your measure for voltage there. So you'll test for voltage like I tested here and knew that I was getting 12 volts, or basically that. I could then power the item, and make sure I've got voltage on the board and at the part itself, and that would tell me if I'm getting enough voltage. Well, I've got power here, but I don't here. Well, okay, if you're not getting voltage here, is there something wrong with the conductor? So the multimeter, and this is a really cheap one. This is like a $30 unit, and actually it was given to me for free, and it works just splendidly. That's the way to check for all of this stuff. So let's go back to those instructions and wrap this up. Okay, so solenoid specifications, really handy. You're going to know how many amps a load requires. Somewhere it's going to be clearly published that the solenoid or the device is going to require, 330 milliamps, something like that. You're going to know the voltage because it'll be on everything. You're going to specify it. And it's nice to know the ohms or the coil resistance. It's unusual for me to see that in lots of installation instructions and wiring instructions, but it's there. Should you need to test it, you're good to go. And this is a great example of, so this is E, this is I, and this is R. This is E, this is I, this is R. So as the voltage goes up, the amps go down. But because it's A equal B times C, the C part has to change, and you can see how it changes here. Okay. Now, over to the other side, and this was really where it verified everything that we've talked about. You got 12 VDC, it's yellow. Those are your power, those are your wires. They're running to the device. This doesn't tell you that there's 4 wires here, or 2 pair. But then you've got your monitor switch. And obviously the guy at the factory wasn't looking at this, but he didn't need to look at it. He guessed right. He knew what it was. Monitor switch. A single pole, single throw monitor switch is added to the solenoid. Indicate when the unit is electrically unlatched. Switch outputs can be used to signal automatic door operators, monitor panels, fire control panels. That's exactly what I said. You can report back with a light, with a horn, to anything. A fire panel reporting back to access control, I'm latched. Access control, I'm not latched. Or you can know when someone has entered because you'll get electric latch retraction, or exited, assuming that they, you're going to know every time. What you may not know is whether or not the latch was depressed manually. That's probably not going to report back because you're not affecting change on the solenoid itself. But this is it right here. Yellow are power, blue are a monitoring switch. And when you really start to dive into it, you realize, there's not, it's a never-ending deep dive into the state of learning low voltage electricity, but it's not impossible to understand. That's it. Any questions on this or any other low voltage exercise, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.